going to do a video about this being Vlasic's redemption, if you like. And what I mean by redemption is Vlasic was signed by Everton as the next big thing. He was going to be the future, basically. And it didn't quite work out. In fact, he was a bit of a flop there, if truth be known. Vlasic has had a few things to say about his reasoning why. Some of it is attributed to Sam Allardyce being crap, which is fine by me, of course. Whatever, it didn't work out. He's gone on to pastures new. He's had to reinvent himself. So I was going to do the video about Vlasic having a point to prove, going to Everton, showing Everton what he was all about, showing Everton how they got it wrong, how they should have stuck with him, and how he's going to be a quality operator. And then I thought, no, don't do the video at all. Why? Well, because David Moyes has suggested that Vlasic is a doubt and probably won't feature. But then I changed my mind again. I thought, oh, no, Moyesy, no. You won't dupe me. I was going to say a second time. You won't dupe me a fifth time. I basically don't believe a word Moyes says. Now, I don't mean in a nasty way. I'm not calling him a compulsive liar. In many respects, when David Moyes first started at West Ham, I felt he was a little bit, well, not a little bit too honest. He was just too honest. I thought sometimes, oh, play the game, mate. Stop showing your hand. Honestly, it was like trying to play snap with my 7-year-old. Just stop. Keep your cards close to your chest, mate. And I don't know, something switched, something changed. I don't know if this is what he was like at Everton. The Everton fans have to tell me. But I still felt he was too honest. In essence, if somebody was injured in the press conferences, oh, he's injured, he's not playing. If someone was struggling, he'd say they were struggling. If someone was fit, he'd say he's fit, he's playing. I think, no, don't do it. I don't mean nasty mind games, sort of like Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger used to do by being horrible about one another. No, just a little bit of smoke and mirrors, a little bit of the illusionist, if you like, when you're in the build up to a game about who's fit, who's firing, who's ready, and who's unavailable. Keep them guessing. It's got to be worth something, right? So I thought, no, this may well be Vlasic's redemption. Now I'm aware that by the time this will be Saturday evening. By the time this goes out, look, we're playing Sunday afternoon, and I'll look forward to seeing you. Hopefully, on the build-up show before the match. However, I think he might feature. I do. Because if there's one person that knows all about redemption against Everton, it'll be David Moyes. For different reasons. David Moyes did not flop at Everton. David Moyes does not need to prove a point. I'm sure every single Everton fan is going to be looking at West Ham, turning up, and they're probably going to be thinking, okay, we know exactly what we're getting. This is David Moyes. And they'd be right, they'd know a lot about him. What I would suggest is, and I don't claim to have an encyclopedic knowledge of Everton under David Moyes, but I do remember him. I remember the old Dogs of War. I remember Carsley. I was going to call him Casserole, and for some reason, he's another tasty little player he is. French winger Casserole. Casserole, of course. Who was it? Carsley and Gravison. Gravison went on to play for Real Madrid, didn't he? So I remember the old Dogs of War. I remember, obviously, Duncan Ferguson there. I remember him metamorphosising and maybe evolving the team into one that played better football with Arteta and Pinar and certainly, what's his name, Morales, wasn't it? But you always felt they were a defensive team. I don't think that's the case at West Ham now. I think we really go for it. And I mean, David Moyes has been at pains to point out himself that he's been all across Europe, and he's spent, in his sort of sabbatical and his time off, he spent time with different coaches, different clubs. When I spent time at Ajax, went to Barcelona, he went to a number of different clubs and spent some time. And so clearly you would have learned something. You'd hope so. Really. If you were going on a 2-year education when you didn't learn anything, you'd be a bit crap. But I feel he did. So I feel that the David Moyes turning up at Everton this time, it's not a case he's got a point to prove. Everton know there's a good manager there in David Moyes. But he will want to show that he's an excellent manager still. He'll just want to say, look, remember me, I'm still really good, I'm still really competent, and I've got better. So I think, with that in mind, I think Vlasic may well feature. Hopefully he will feature. And no pressure on him, really. He's going to need to come good sooner rather than later. Listening to what Moyes has had to say about him, Moyes is very, very confident in what he said. By the way, if you haven't heard what Moyes has said about him, you can do worse than click the One Football app. No, not bad, eh? Slips into that relatively seamlessly. Put all your West Ham news together, all your Everton news together. In fact, everything you need to know about West Ham and Everton, including an hour before kick-up and all the lineups on there. It's got all the transfer gossip. And what I was referring to was, on the One Football app, there's David Moyes. He's got a breakdown of his pre-match press conference and he speaks about Vlasic there. And certainly, he's in no doubt at all that Vlasic is going to come good. So yeah, the link is below. It's free. Download it to your phone. One Football app. So I think listening to what he's had to say about Vlasic, I think he's going to feature. He'll feature at some point. But I don't feel that there's the pressure on him, is what I was saying, not massively. I do feel there's a bit of pressure on West Ham for this game, though. Because I said it before the Brentford game. I said it's quite important we win the Brentford game because there's sort of... Brentford were always going to be plucky sort of underdogs for that game. And they played... Obviously, they played really well. I'm still smarting, to be honest with you. I'm still annoyed about that result. There's no doubt about it. Every time I think about it, it irritates me. But I said before that game, we can't be losing this game because it will make the Everton one very, very important. And I don't mean in terms of relegation or anything like that. I just feel some games are very, very important. And others not so much. It was a shame that we didn't get the result we wanted and we lost to Man United and the penalty thing and noble. But I don't think anyone expected us to win there. I think that was fine. I think, and particularly, what Man United, what we were then going to go on to do in the Cup afterwards at Man United, I think that was fine. But I think there's some that you just can't be losing. I think Everton's one of those. Because I don't think there's anything between the managers. I think they are solid managers. And I certainly feel that Everton... And I mentioned this in the preview with Gio. I feel Everton now have a proper manager and they're now able to build. And rather than having this scat-and-a-gun approach of buy him, buy him, buy him, and buy him, you feel that the manager's leading the dance and he's very much dictating what's going to happen. And I think you know what you're getting with these guys. You know what you're getting with Moyes. You know what you're getting with Benitez. And what they're going to do, as long as you back them, and I don't mean by buying Mbappe or whatever, as long as you give them some money whereby they can improve the squad in the positions that they think is going to be best suited to the squad, then they'll have your top 10. They really will. I've often thought under David Moyes, certainly when players have been injured or been out, I've never thought we were going to go on some long losing streak. In fact, I'm not sure what our longest losing streak is under David Moyes. I think it might be 2 games. I'm not sure we've lost 3 games in a row. And I can sort of understand that because I feel that the ethos, I feel that the shape, I feel that the style of his play with the coaching staff and everything he imparts on them in training, we're bigger than the sum of our parts. We're better than the sum of our parts. So actually, I feel that even if Dawson, for example, or Diop, or whoever you want, is playing out of his skin and playing really, really well, if he misses a game, it didn't matter. Balbuena would come in and play just as well. I think sometimes when Soufal has been absolutely brilliant and you can't play Soufal, and by the way, we don't know, David Moyes is suggesting no Soufal for this game, but I don't believe you, Moyes, as I said. But then you think, oh no, Fredericks is coming in. There doesn't seem to be a massive drop-off in performance. Frederick still comes in, he does the job, it's okay. We even saw it with Lanzini in central midfield, and I think there's a lot of that. When Antonio was out, he muddled through. There was a combination of different people, be it Bowen or Lingard in a free role or whatever, but he found a way that the system sort of overcame that. So we were able to ride over that. We were bigger than the sum, better than the sum of our parts, and I feel we've got that with Everton as well. So whilst Everton might be missing, and we're not going to know until, let's be fair, until the lineups are revealed on the One Football app, of course, we're not going to know. But even if Richarlison is out, even if Calvert-Lewin is out, I still feel that they're going to have enough about them, Everton, to be able to carry out the manager's plans. He's a bloody good manager, Benitez. So I think, again, I just think they're very similar. Like us, they can lose component parts and still perform well, was my point. It's going to be interesting, particularly in light of the fact that both teams like a bit of a counter-attack, don't they? That's going to be interesting. I think it might be a bit of after you, Claude, and maybe a case of, no, you attack us. No, you attack us. You have the ball. No, you have the ball. You have the ball. To such an extent, I do wonder if this will be interesting. I don't know what's going to happen. We sometimes play in 1 or 2 different ways in terms of pressing. Sometimes we press immediately, somebody's centre-backs. Other times we'll sort of let them have it. And then the moment they start to get sort of near the halfway line, then we start to press. But other times we'll chase them. We'll chase them down into, almost chase down the goalkeeper, and down into press all the way down to the opposition's 18-yard box. I just wonder if we're going to sit back and let them pass it around the back and say, right, come on, because we're going to want to spring it on you now. And I just wonder if Everton are going to want to do the same. It's like the old boxing adage, isn't it? Styles make fights. I'm not entirely sure that the styles will make this an absolute classic. I don't know, but it is an incredibly important game. I think far more important actually for West Ham than it is for Everton, because I don't think anybody feels that it's Everton's fault that they lost Ancelotti. I think they just probably felt that Ancelotti's not the loyalist coach in the world, but Real Madrid came calling and they went. So, and you can sort of understand his decision, can't you? And I also think that Everton might look at their expenditure, and particularly bringing in players like Townsend, Rondon and Damari Gray, who have turned out to be excellent, by the way, but the buy-in policy sort of smacked of a club who are just trying to cut their cloth, who have basically been skinted out by spending 50 million on Sigurdsson or whatever it is, 40 million on Iwobi, 30 million on Balassi, and on it goes and so on and so forth. Big money on lots and lots of players. So you certainly got the impression on this one that they weren't going out and shopping in Harrods this summer. They were going to have to eat what was already left in the cupboard. It was corned beef hash, basically. But the corned beef hash has turned out quite nice. Sorry, I can't believe I've just compared Andros Townsend to a corned beef hash. But it's all right, particularly with a bit of beans. I don't mind it. Got to put some onion in there as well. In the corned beef hash, not on Andros Townsend, of course. I'm not suggesting anybody puts chopped onion on Andros Townsend, or indeed eats him. I digress, as I usually do. My point, my very, very laboured point is, I don't think that there's massive expectations on Everton this season. I think they're probably pleasantly surprised by what Rafa's done. They didn't want him. You've got to remember this. Everton did not want Rafa, because he was seen as Liverpool. For very, very good reason. I believe when he was at Liverpool, he maybe said some ill-advised things about Everton, but you can understand people getting caught up in a moment. It's the sort of city rival, isn't it? But I didn't want him, and I just wonder now if maybe the Everton fans are warming towards him slightly, if the Everton fans thinking, actually, we don't mind this guy at all. I certainly haven't heard that much criticism of him. My point is, there's not massive expectations of him. If anything, when I was listening to Talk Sport, certainly, in the build-up to the season, it was almost like Everton fans were expecting him to fail, and there were some of them that had almost readied what they were going to say to almost put the boot in for when he did fail, because, of course, he was a red and not a blue. I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to do well, and I think the Everton fans are going to warm towards him. But I didn't want him, which actually just reminds me of the sorry. Talk about Newcastle. Just one final time until we played them. It was really odd, wasn't it, to look at Newcastle and look about Steve Bruce. Now, for those who don't know, Steve Bruce is on 999 games. He did his 1,000th game. They confirmed that the 1,000th game was going to be the Tottenham game. So he was going to be there. They were going to allow him to have his 1,000th game. The fans, by and large, didn't want it. The fans are saying no, because they don't like Bruce. Get him out. The stats. He's got very, very bad attacking stats. They create, Newcastle under Bruce, fewer chances than anyone else, and don't have many shots, that sort of thing, crap possession. That being said, last season Bruce always said, look, once I get Callum Wilson, Sam Axman back, we'll be alright, and they were. But the Geordie fans don't love him. But I still thought, that's harsh, Particularly bearing in mind he's a Geordie as well. Let him have his 1,000th game, do you know what I mean? You know he's going to be off, everyone knows he's going to be off, but people got no patience, no tolerance for him. They're not all of them, but by and large, certainly the Geordie fans that I heard on the radio were wanting him out. Just get rid of him, basically. Get rid of him now. I sort of felt a bit sorry for him, because I remember when he signed for Birmingham as a player. I think he saw at his club. He played as excellent centre-back, wasn't he, at Man United. And he signed for Birmingham. And then he played a little while for Birmingham, and then he got the manager's job at Birmingham. I remember him saying, when they say, where would you like your managerial career to go? And he said, well, obviously one day I'd like to manage Man United. He said, obviously I'm a Geordie lad. Newcastle's my club, my hometown club. I'd love to support Newcastle. And it was I'd love to manage Newcastle. It was a theme throughout his career. He wants to manage Newcastle, love Newcastle, Geordie boy. And it's got to be hard if you're from that area and everyone hates you, do you know what I mean? And I did feel for him. And I thought, particularly when, I don't know if you, when Ashley was in charge as well, and they had, do you remember they had Joe Kinnear there and they had Dennis Wise in, and they called it the Cockney Mafia, and why they got Kinnear in I don't know, and he was useless, don't get me wrong, he was an abomination. Bad decision by Ashley, bad decision by Wise, who I think was director of football at that point, and the whole thing was bad. I understood Newcastle not being happy with that, Newcastle fans. But why we can't have these Cockney people? We don't want these Cockney people. Get them out there. They called them the Cockney Mafia. Go and look it up. I swear that's what they were saying. Get a Geordie in, and we can understand him. He can understand us. Well, they got a Geordie in, and quite frankly, hey, get him out. No, you can't. We don't want you here. You're useless. Get rid of him. And you get the feeling that Steve Bruce can't. It's a shame. Born and bred in Newcastle, probably can't even walk around Newcastle at the moment, and certainly not wanted there. So yeah, I don't think the Everton thing was as bad as that. But he wasn't wanted. Benitez was not wanted at Everton at all. And I think he's turning it round. I think he's good. Hopefully, not for this game though. I don't know. We're gonna have the build-up show. We'll deal with a build-up show. So join us for that. Be an hour and 5 minutes before kick-off, revealing the lineups. We've got our Patreon breakfast show first thing in the morning as well. Then we've got a post-match review. We've got a watch along with Charlie. Loads of stuff going on. What the team's going to be, I don't know. I'll just tell you one thing, though. Whatever David Moyes says the team is, don't believe him.